But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Neil, Surf Daddy, Click OK, Refracted Curvature, and a whole bunch of people in the Flipside Discord server. So, welcome one and all.
How are you?
Good morning.
Getting a YouTube error immediately, that's not a good sign. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth streaming experience. As such, viewers may experience buffering. Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Glad I pay for such expensive internet.
Bummer, man.
Indeed. If this ends up being atrocious quality, obviously members will get a better experience, given that I'm recording it locally as well. So if this is a terrible live experience for you, I can only apologise. I have no idea what's causing that issue. I'll reset my router after the live show's ended. Annoying that, because you don't know that you're going to have an audio issue or a streaming issue or something buffering until you've actually gone live, and at which point you're already well into live streaming at that point. So what do? Cancel the stream and reschedule another one? I would suggest not. Anyway, how you all been? Had a nice weekend?
Good. Watched a movie that made me cry, but
Your sheep
worth
movie?
going.
You mean your shoot movie?
Sheep Detectives. Everyone go see it. But as the sheep herder, as a shepherd, myself, watching those sheep and the way they characterized them all was incredible. Whoever did it, whoever did the movements of, the movements of the sheep, even, it's all AI and stuff, but even the movements and inflections were things that I have seen in my sheep. So that was incredible. So yes, everyone go see it.
How many sheep do you have?
Over 60. I try not to count past 60.
I'm having a hard time taking care of a pug dog, and you take care of 60 sheep? Whoa.
Yeah, that's why I don't feel sorry for you when any of you guys complain about stuff. I'm usually shoveling a stall or
Well, it's not me. I just feel bad for my dog.
Yeah, so at least your sheep aren't shitting all over your house, though, mate.
Exactly. They shit outside. Me and Len got a different situation. Picture 60 sheep doing what Len's cat. Anyway, let's change the subject.
Well, I've always got a story because I've had sheep and goats in the house that accidentally got in. I don't know how they figured out how to get in. We must have had the door open a little bit, and they came up on the deck, and I had 3 goats in my house for a couple hours before I got home. And so, yeah.
I ain't that dumb, huh?
Yeah, whatever. Oh, they ate stuff. They knocked stuff over. They pooped on the couch. They just, yeah. Any story you got, I could probably top it.
What my question is, Daddy, what are you doing here? I mean, I understand Neil is a bit more of a normie than most of us, and refracted curvature, as much as he may not like to hear it, is a bit more of a globe believer in many ways. He's our representation of the worm that turned. But you're a farmer. What are you doing here? You haven't got a conspiratorial background. You're not like me. I'm going to assume for you, Len, that you've got a bit of a conspiratorial interest, and I know Click OK definitely does. I certainly do. But you're in the lesser normie character if you're a farmer, in my opinion. I mean, having my folks live on a farm for a number of years, I'm pretty sure I'm down with what farmers are like. They're normies, right? Most normie of normies.
Yeah. You know.
But what are you doing here?
I think we tend to know stuff instinctively, and we don't talk about it a lot. We're not conspiratorial because we live life every day, and we experience a lot more life than a lot of other people do.
I've had some conversations with you.
So you know what I'm talking about, and I don't know. I've always thought of conspiracies as something interesting. I think Owen Benjamin coined it well for me. He just called it gravy to put on your biscuits. That's interesting. You don't go too deep into it, but that's kind of interesting. And so that's as far as I've ever gone on conspiracies. I'm a Christian, and I believe that God created the earth the way he described it in Genesis 1. So I believe that and know that to be true, even though I can't prove it, but I don't need to prove it. God says this is the way it is, and he describes it, right? So, but I came into this and actually found your show many years ago. I was arguing on Facebook with atheists and just doing apologetics and what I found, 10 years later, 12 years later, whatever, I am realizing that I am arguing, or have been arguing, with heliocentrists the exact same way I was arguing with atheists. And that epiphany is what, and coming to the conclusion with you on this journey over 8 years, especially the past 5 years, or since 6 years, since the Black Swan, coming on this journey that you took with your book, or I'm hoping you have, explaining how we came to where we're at now, that Earth definitely is measured flat. I've always known it was as God described. And but also brought rode the conspiracies, and I did found them interesting, but didn't invest in them. Didn't come to flat Earth through the conspiracies, but I did ride those conspiracies through and see that everyone was using them to get to flat Earth and to cause flat Earth to be, the bad name that it is. So I don't know. That's how I roundabout came here. I found your show after I was arguing with atheists. Stuck with your show, even though it was unshareable. And I think you'd admit that, it was unshareable for a Christian. But somehow God had me stick with it all these years. I took a hiatus for a while.
Nathan's come a long way.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely why this is, it's no secret to him, and he admits it. And you and I and others over the years have definitely put in our 2 cents about his potty mouth. But it is what it is. But I think providence is what kept me with it. I took a hiatus for Witsit for a while, and the others, I went through the others and listened to them, but I dumped them pretty quickly. And came back to here to find that it was a lot easier to listen to. And the path that it was going, I could tell years ago was something that I needed to stick with. And I'm just now this year, the past 2 years, have understood why I was feeling I needed to stick with it. So that's why I'm excited about the book coming out. And I realized last night, and I posted it on Master B, that I'm thinking that I'm hoping that the reviews of the book when it comes out are not going to be about the technicalities of whether the earth is flat or not. I'm thinking and hoping that the reviews are going to be from people like me who realize that I too have come through this feast of nonsense conspiracy route, and that this journey, everyone says, "Oh, my flat Earth journey." It is a journey, but you need to but hopefully you end up realizing that the journey is to understand how the idea of heliocentrism has driven all of us to the point where if we don't think about it cogently, deeply think about it, it's going to drive us crazy. And we're going to become those globers that are just intolerable, toxic people. And I'm hoping this book will show how toxic this subject is. That is, in my opinion and estimation, and because of Scripture, and that this truly is a delusion that has gripped the whole world, and it's because people don't love what is true. They don't love the truth. God says that He will send a delusion. People who don't love the truth will be deceived, and we're in those times. So, how much more truth can there be than you measure something? Oh, look, I'm measuring my distance from here to Denver. That's 700 miles. I'm going to draw a straight line to Denver on this map, and the scale says that's 7 inches, so that's 700 miles. Good grief. That's true, right? No one thinks about it until you tell them, oh, that's because the earth is flat or a horizontal topographical plane, right? And then they go nuts. Or someone who doesn't love the truth goes nuts. Hopefully there's examples of that in the book.
Yeah, where's the guns?
Oh, yes. Is it in there? You guys, listen. Just this, it was probably this weekend. A certain guy named Duffy, I don't know, says that there's a documentary coming out, but they're trying to raise $50,000 to get it done. It's like 3 hours long.
Wait a second. Hold on. This thing was supposed to be out by now. Now they're trying to get money out of people? That is a bunch of baloney. That thing is
Hold on.
ready and was ready to go a long time ago.
Well,
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Before you go any further, when you're talking about the dimensions of Earth's surface, where are the guns? Is the only true standard for knowing that. I mean, why would you use measurement? You're deflecting, Nathan.
You are
That's-
deflecting with those measurements.
yes. Well, here's the cool thing. He put out a video kind of pre-announcing that the movie's coming out. There's talking about conspiracies. I've actually thought of the conspiracy idea that they've been waiting to put this documentary out until your book comes out.
Exactly.
Yes. So we'll see. But the way they sounded is like they've got 3 hours of material, and Duffy says we just can't cut any of it. And we were going to cut it, but now we're not. But we need $50,000 to finish it. And they're going to make it a docu-series. So they're going to make 3 or 4 parts to it. Anyhow, it's coming out later.
Well,
But-
he's the same old guy.
Yeah.
No,
but-
he needs $50,000. Okay.
Well, he's already put 6 figures into it. Don't worry, he's already invested enough in it. The main thing is that there's pushback on the video comments. Someone said, "Boy, I hope you didn't cut out the part about where's the guns, Nathan." And there's comments like that showing up on his feed, on his YouTube feed. So. Fear not, gentlemen. I truly believe that there's just enough people out there to just say little things like that. Where's the guns, Nathan? Oh, I hope you didn't cut out that part of the movie. The
main part of the trip. That was the climax.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I it'll be interesting. I think if, and that's what I was thinking. I was talking about in Master B, Nathan, was that in interviews, if it comes up or feels like it's a right place to put it, talking about your experience, right? That's your experience, and how it was toxic for so many years, just because of the subject and the conspiracies and all the whole trip. Talking about that will hopefully give a lot of the numpty or the newbie audience enough incentive to think, I experienced that too. I kind of even asked about it. I didn't even really believe it. And all I get is this crap. And they'll be interested in the book because your story of the path, of the travels, of the toxicity, of the McToons is other people's stories. And I think that is what'll grip them more than the fact that the earth is flat. It'll actually help them to just realize, to accept, well, of course the earth is flat. It's the way we measure it. And look at all this toxic BS that's going on. McToon reviewing Betty's book.
That's 4 times you mentioned his name. Well done.
Sorry. Okay, McLovin. Reviewing that other book and giving it a 1 and a 1 star, and talking about how just he didn't say anything about it other than it was bad, right? If you've seen it, the point is that kind of review will actually prove the point of the book and how toxic this path is, when all we do is we just measure it flat. So I'm not even sad or worried about bad reviews at this point, now that I'm thinking about it this way.
Well, entertaining the argument to begin with is what has enabled this toxicity that you're talking about. allowing people to put a statement of what is into an if supposition, and then try to put it forward as if it could be wrong. That's what's caused the toxicity, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, and now they're flipping it around so that, the horizon wouldn't be horizontal if the Earth was flat. The sun would do this or that if the Earth was flat. They're desperate. They're not even touching the globe Earth or the dip or all the other stuff that the feast of nonsense. All they're doing is saying, if the Earth was flat, then this wouldn't happen. You wouldn't see the sun set this way if the Earth was flat.
See, that if supposition that's being allowed, like that, they're trying to deny what they know with that.
Yeah, it unpacks in a way that has. You were probably about to say this, John. I've already jumped the gun, probably. But if the Earth isn't flat, then we won't see the sun decline in an orientation perpendicular to a plane of reference.
Yeah, because sunrise and sunset are rhetorical devices we use to describe the change in elevation angle of the sun throughout the day. That elevation angle has a horizontal baseline that is the surface of Earth. So,
Of course. How else are you going to get it?
Yeah, I can't remember who described it in Master B as like you're on a little mission each time you talk to somebody that is an anti-flat earther to spot, for your own amusement, how long it takes for them to use a flat earth prerequisite. So if in this instance we broke it down, it would be, well, if the Earth was flat, we would see the sun do something other than these here flat Earth measurements of elevation angle. Right? That's what they're doing. And check it out. When I measure the sun off a flat Earth with an angle that could only be acquired if Earth is flat, means Earth isn't flat. And when you go,
it's usually immediate.
Yeah, immediately, exactly. And when you go to somebody, well, what you've just used is a flat Earth prerequisite. They go, well, just because I've used a flat Earth prerequisite doesn't mean it's flat. Or just because I've measured Earth completely flat doesn't mean that Earth is flat. Or just because this axiomatically requires that I utilize Earth flat doesn't mean that Earth is flat. That's the kind of response you get at the end of the road for the people in the most severe of cognitive dissonance that we come up against. I had one in chat for my yesterday's show, and you're talking about me being a potty mouth. For these people, I just want to tear the absolute living daylights out of them, just tear the biggest of strip off them, because they come in the same way every single time. I'm just a little bit more intelligent than you. I'll bring this back to John in a minute, because it was his attitude towards the Morgul before he joined this show when he was a globe believer. I'm more intelligent than you, Morgul. I know the score. You just don't understand. Right? That was the general demeanour from John towards Morgul. And you're like, yes, the general demeanour of most anti-flat earthers is they are deemed to be more intellectually superior than your average hippie conspiratard. Now, that's just the way it is. It's been engineered in that way, and it is true. That's not to say that there aren't people on a almost level playing field. I'm sure the Morgul, as this example goes, is actually a very intellectual guy, and therefore that's probably why he seemed like more sport for John to attack than, say, I don't know, Jaren, who seems less intellectual, or, I don't know, someone further down the pecking order, whoever that may be, in terms of their intellectual prowess or the demonstratable intellectual prowess, right? So you've got fart sniffers versus conspiratards and hippies. Well, in that process, the bad blood, how did you describe it earlier? I can't remember, something like bad blood, or the poison in the well. I can't remember how you described it earlier, but that circumstance comes about not because people are putting into an if statement, although that is the conduit that they use, putting a statement of fact in this regard, flat earth measurements, into an if statement so it can be set in false dichotomy, because you can suppose that if earth's flat, you're like, no, the convolution of making flat earth measurements into an if statement puts the two different groups that are already in play when the discussion points reach the table, which is, as I say, fart sniffers and conspirators. But the discussion points that's going to be on the table is an if statement about whether or not Earth is flat, based on the I'm going to already assume it is spherical structure of so-called debate. Now, along that path, to get to my point, every single person around the table must accept and simultaneously must whistle past Earth's actual geography when put into practical application. Both sides will need to utilise miles. Both sides will need to use altitude. Both sides will need to use directionality. All sides will ignore how flat all three are to say whether or not Earth's a sphere, whether or not Earth's flat. The reality being that the only thing that's an absolute constant for everybody around the table of so-called debate are flat Earth prerequisites, axioms, and measurements. Those are the only constant. Everybody must measure Earth flat, and they'll do it almost immediately. Some guy in the chat yesterday got snippy with me and started getting passive-aggressive, saying you lived close by. You're like, oh, you lose your debate in terms of your perceived claims about sky vacuums for little fart-sniffing 12-year-old overgrown boys. And when I'm pointing out that altitude is a prerequisite flat Earth measurement from sea level, this person's telling me how close of proximity they are to me. My retort, your proximity is a flat Earth measurement in miles. So I'm immediately ramming back up him the passive-aggressive suggestion of proximity to me in a chat skanking way that they do. Then this little bitch started to moan that I was bullying him. These pathetic little betas and gammas that we have to deal with, that come along, express their intellectual superiority like, I'm so much smarter than you dumb flat earthers, you don't understand. Now watch me use a flat earth prerequisite or measurement to suggest how flat earth isn't. That's what they all seem to do. As soon as you start pointing out, well, you're using flat earth prerequisites, you're using elevations, you're using elevation angles, you're using eye levels that are parallel with surface level, you're using surface level, you're using sea level, you're using miles, you're using kilometres. Anything that they use that's an earth referenced measurement will always, and without exception, be flat. And they hate it. They immediately want to tell me in a threatening way how close by they are, or when they'll be nearby. You're like, you pathetic little bitches. It's utterly pathetic. Because what can they do? That's us. I'd say pretty much just us. I can't think of anybody else who's doing this, that's taking the opponent, because they're not anymore, to the point where they have to say, well, did you measure the miles? You're like, I didn't suggest my proximity to you, you no-name little prick in a chat box. You're telling me how close you are in proximity to be passive-aggressively threatening me. And I'm taking that threat and turning it into a flat earth prerequisite measurement in miles. And it absolutely infuriates them, even when they're trying to be passively aggressively threatening towards me. They're just using flat earth miles to do so. And it's hilarious, because what do? They squirm and then say that they're getting bullied. It is utterly hilarious dealing with the cucks from the globe side currently. Now I'm just doing it for sport.
Yeah.
Go on.
Well, and that's what's fun for me still, and that it gives me the opportunity to practice being polite and nice, and it's just fun looking for the flat. I'm just amazed. I'm psychologically analyzing.
Yeah, but it comes immediately.
Strangers. Yeah, these strangers. There's a guy that came on.
Oh, but I'm saying the flat comes immediately. Like, I don't understand how you could spend so much time. With me, it's always immediate. They immediately use flat Earth prerequisites, and the fun is over. I
They
mean, if
can't
you want to count how many times, I guess it's a different game.
No, they can't. They can't help it. And actually, what Nathan did is, those miles to my house are flat. That it's people who just absolutely cannot see the truth. They just have to be hammered with this until they finally do, or they obviously don't. I mean, there's a bit of a start of a discussion, and this guy yesterday said to a friend of mine, he says, for God's sake, any high school trig or geometry, let's count that. Let's do a ding in your head. Every ding, just ding in your head. Just count on your fingers as I read this. This isn't too long. He says, for God's sake, any high school trig or geometry student can prove the earth is a globe with a compass and a protractor.
Ding, ding, ding.
Even the orbits of the planets and moon can be proven.
Ding, ding, ding.
We've been using a sextant to circumnavigate
Ding,
for
ding, ding,
hundreds,
ding, ding, ding.
probably thousands of years. Flat earthers are an insult to anyone who's globe stomped this planet in the military and seen the other side of the sky, or flown any distance more than 100 miles or so. Ding. There is literally something mentally or spiritually busted with you people. Feel better and God bless.
Yeah, I love how the most broken of us project their own
I was just going to say
failures,
that.
insecurities, ineptitude, and ignorance directly onto the person that's talking to them. In this case, you. You're like, no, you're broken. I would assume this has come in the face of being told that that person is using a flat Earth prerequisite. So then you didn't go ding, ding, ding when he said for thousands of years. Years is a conceptual invention of our own that we've derived from movements of the lights measured from a flat Earth. Years are also a flat Earth prerequisite. Time itself
Nathan,
is
I
a flat Earth
could
prerequisite.
have been dinging the whole time. I didn't want to keep interrupting him.
Yeah, really. We're trying not to be ninjas here, dude.
No, but I was going to say that too. That is straight up projection. That's all I heard.
Yes. And I answered something. I'll try to post a screenshot.
Oh,
of
just
it
one
later.
second. Just 1 second. Mickey, is that Mickey Mess in the chat? I need to get your email address. Can you get it to me via one of the Skype or whatever it's called now, conversations? For the translation, I need to send you a copy, and it's almost finalised, or it will be in the next 10 days. So I want to get the translation started, if that's okay with you. I've also dropped a line to Ventriloquorum, and I know there's one other guy who's looking to do a French translation. Maybe it's a different Mickey. He can't hear me. He's obviously not in the. He's in Discord, but it may be not the same Mickey Mess. We'll find out in a
No,
bit.
it is. The same guy.
Well, hopefully I'll get a response out of him. I need to get his email address so I can send him a copy of the book to get it translated. All the translations and indeed the audiobook will all go on the same site. So ideally there'll be English, Spanish, French, German, audiobook. So there'll be 5 different versions. But obviously it's got to be finalised, and obviously the main priority is just getting an English version out. But I was asking this of the publisher today, actually. I was saying, should I get the people who are going to translate it to just work off my A4 version in Word? Or should I ask them to work in the same page size and text size as the end product, so there's minimal amount of work in reformatting it when it's translated? That was something I asked him today, so I haven't got an answer to it. But what I do need to do is gather up these people's email addresses, so I can start sending them whatever it is that needs to be sent to them for the translations to start happening. But Mickey and Ventriloquorum, I just can't remember the third guy, the guy that would put it into French. There was another one. I don't know if any of you guys can remember. Sorry, I'm completely talking shop in the middle of a live stream. I'm sorry.
I think he's coming. I think the French guy's coming through Ventriloquorum, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So I only need 2 people then, Mickey Mess and Ventriloquorum as my email contacts. Okay.
That's correct. I'll send him a message privately. Maybe he didn't get it in Masturbate.
No worries. I mean, I'm not too concerned about talking shop in the middle of this live stream, mainly because this live stream might be a bit of a wash. It's absolutely atrocious quality. I've dropped 16,000 frames. 13% of the show's just gone. So I don't know it's either a computer issue or an internet issue. Either way, I'll have to resolve that once the show's finished. So I may not do an after show today because I'll try and figure out what's wrong with this computer. Because I can't be streaming and losing 12.9% of my frames.
I'm having no problem watching it on YouTube. I got it on. It's not buffering for me.
I know it may not be, but I know I've got a warning from YouTube, and I've lost, as I say, 16,334 frames, which means it is dropping frames. Something's not right. I just don't know what. I'll have to investigate what's awry. So, like I say, I may not have an after show. I'll just around that. But as it might be a completely terrible performing live show from a technical perspective. I know you say you can watch it, but maybe you're just watching it in low enough res that it actually works. But for someone who's watching it at 1080p, it might be buffering all over the place. Who knows?
I think they're trying to shut you down.
They're coming to get me.
Fisherman in a Box has the same problems with his live stuff. It'll go live, and he has no idea whether anyone can see it or not, and you have to watch it like in a slight replay, like 10 minutes back for it to go smoothly for most of his live streams.
Well, hey, before you close out the show, I'd like to thank the people that helped me. Thank you guys.
Don't worry about it. You're very welcome. I'm not planning on rounding out the show early. I mean, as I say, even when the shows aren't particularly good, it doesn't necessarily mean that they won't replay perfectly adequately after the live show's finished. So I've made that mistake having done this for a number of years, which is say, oh no, I can see that there's an issue. I better round out the show. And then you go, oh, okay, well, let's just start again. And then you just end up with 2 live streams. So I'll still go through for the full hour. So we'll still stay live for at least another 20 minutes.
John, you got a Cash App, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to confirm that because I don't use it very much, and searched down an email, and it wanted to make sure it got sent to the right John.
So immediately, it's they're using flat earth prerequisites. It doesn't come late. It comes early and often. But a lot of people don't catch on. Like I told you, me and One Deck went 24/7 the other day, and they were trying to get the guy to prove that the Earth is spinning instead of holding him to the measurements. So, what are you going to do?
But you allow them. You just point out what's required in terms of flat Earth prerequisites to achieve such a claim. So, in the case of spinning, you're talking about having an axis through a plane that's rotating. That's a non-inertial turning reference frame. Well, that's requiring a flat Earth prerequisite in terms of how they describe it mathematically. Now, the fact that it doesn't apply, we don't see any of the effects of a Coriolis drift, is the overarching end of their claim when they suggest that's the proof. What proves you're turning then, if this is a non-inertial turning reference frame with an axis running through it? Well, Coriolis deflection. Okay, we don't have it. That's the end of that discussion. It's their positive burden to prove that there is something demonstrating the effects of a rotating, non-inertial turning reference frame, flat in nature when mathematically described. If they can't demonstrate that, that's the end of the claim. It's an extraordinary claim to suggest that the ground beneath your feet is actually moving. But it requires an extraordinary amount of evidence. And the best they can do is a suggestion of Coriolis that doesn't happen, that normally comes with idiots like Simon Dan telling people like me that my reference frames are ruined when their claim of 2 reference frames for Coriolis deflection fails. So suddenly it's incumbent on me to have reference frames. You're like, no. I admit people like Dan are very stupid in terms of the pecking order of intellect. Dan's right down the bottom. Doesn't understand his own claim and its requirement to be a rotating non-inertial turning reference frame underneath an inertial frame of reference with objects travelling straight appearing to drift from the turning reference frame. Well, when you say, well, here's an example of a guy on a bouncy, what would you call it, trampoline, being towed by a tractor, not drifting, accompanied by Dan's quote, you and your reference frames have been ruined, end quote, that was verbatim, is a suggestion that they shouldn't have the very thing suggested to prove their extraordinary claim. Now, their extraordinary claim also comes after devising sphericity from flat Earth prerequisite elevation angles and measurements to derive radial values in a flat circular fashion to imply sphericity with, to then put it in motion with a mathematically flat non-inertial turning reference frame. So they've got to actually build a ball to put in motion with the failed claim of Coriolis, and the building of said sphericity requires flat Earth prerequisites be measured to derive the radial value. So they've got flat Earth measurements building a ball, and then flat non-inertial turning reference frames in a suggestion of sphericity that spins, and that suggestion of sphericity that spins built on flat Earth measurements fails. We don't see Coriolis deflection.
Right. Someone did say that you're going to need flat Earth for any of that, but they immediately said no. He made a claim that there's Earth rotation. He has to back his claim. See, you take it to another level, Nathan, and you show them that in their claim, they need a flat Earth, and they're requiring a flat Earth for all these things.
Yeah.
And this is what's missing.
Like in that comment to Surf Daddy, one of the things mentioned was orbital motion. You're like, okay, well, let's go through the steps of producing all of the measurements used for orbital motion. What's the first one that they do? Elevation angles to the lights in the sky. The very first measurement that derives heliocentric sphericity and orbital motion is a flat Earth measurement. It's the very first thing you have to do. Step one, measure Earth flat. Now, that's true for all suggestions tied to Earth if claimed to be measurements. They won't be for the sake of this discussion. We've got an orbital motion. None of it's been measured, right? You've measured a flat plane and the angles to the stars and then derived and invented these motions called orbits. But that doesn't mean that the orbits themselves have been measured beyond the flat Earth prerequisite elevation angles that were documented long before heliocentrism was even an idea. But Earth will be measured flat in all instances, orbital motions no exception. Go ahead, John.
I was going to say that you actually have to have 7 flat Earth prerequisites. They're called the elements of orbital mechanics, and all of them require a plane of reference. And if you want to go to the Keplerian elements on top of that, which are the building blocks of orbital mechanics, there's 3 of those that require a flat plane. So you're going to have to use the flat Earth 10 times before you can assert a sphere claim.
Exactly. I've said it before and I'll say it now. There's a notion of the subject that we are in. And as a consequence, many of the people who will be surrounding us currently, present tense, are going to be in one of these 2 camps that have put in place, that I described earlier, fart-sniffing, overgrown 12-year-old Batman T-shirt wearing wankers, otherwise known as globe believers, otherwise known as anti-flat earthers, and the people who oppose them. That's the conspiratard hippies. And they, generally speaking, are deemed slightly lower down the pecking order than fart-sniffing, overgrown Batman T-shirt wearing wankers. Just a tiny smudge below. Therefore, this group can come out on top. But we're over here in a realm that's classified as being scientific. Like the science of orbits, the science of gravity. It's all bollocks. There is no science in any of these categories. And the groups are fart-sniffing, Batman T-shirt wearing wankers, and conspiratards. Those are the groups. Over here, separately, we've got Earth geometry and Earth geography, all of which is flat. If you're utilizing any Earth measurement in miles, kilometers, that's for distance, it is measured to the millimeter, accurate and flat. From those flat Earth measurements in miles of all land everywhere without exception, you can derive deviations from an overall averaged plane of reference called sea level. And again, to the millimeter accuracy, describe the topographical changes with respect to a measured flat plane of reference called sea level. So over here in geography land, we measure Earth flat. With those topographical deviations, you can fly utilizing eye level parallel with surface level, which has been mapped to the millimeter from sea level. You can measure your altitude with pressure to remain at a fixed altitude. Now, flight level is another axiomatic principle that requires we know to the millimeter how high or low the land is, so planes don't crash into it. If you're going to sail, you'll sail with an axiomatic principle of directionality. Same is true for flight. But the directionality using north, south, east and west will always be horizontal and will match the mapped miles with millimeter accuracy and the mapped deviations in the vertical from sea level and the parallel eye level and parallel flight level. These are all over in geography land and are utterly set in stone and required for the fart-sniffing, overgrown 12-year-old dweebs with Batman t-shirts to build a ball to tell conspiratard hippies that they're wrong about how flat Earth is. Both sides over here in science land will be utilising miles, altitudes, elevation angles, flight levels, sea level, surface level. They're all absolutely still axiomatically required and tied to Earth being measured flat. Over in geography land, anybody who does it in geography land is completely separate from the fart-sniffing 12-year-old dweebs with Batman t-shirts and the bearded, no offence, Surf Daddy, hippies and conspiratards. Yeah. Both parties will need to use flat Earth measurements. They're set in stone. Like if they ever declare a mile. So if you say take the Batman t-shirt wearing hippies, they say, well, Earth has got a curve at 8 inches per mile squared. So step one in an assertion that we've got a deviation as a fart-sniffing Batman t-shirt wearing hippie is to have flat Earth prerequisite measurements of horizontal miles to calculate an inferred drop from at 8 inches per the absolutely axiomatically required to be flat mile. So this side needs Earth to be flat for miles to calculate their inferred sphericity. This side that opposes them needs to not only completely ignore how flat frickin' miles are, they need to argue about how wrong the 8 inches per mile that's flat and we must ignore is. That's the game. Both sides use flat Earth measurements. This side is devoid from any argument about sphericity. The side that actually utilises, flies over, sails, charts, maps, builds on the world, which is unequivocally flat. For everyone. Anybody who measures Earth, doesn't matter if you're a fart-sniffing dweeb with a Batman t-shirt, you will still measure Earth flat. It's just if you're wearing a Batman t-shirt and believing in a sphere and sky vacuums and rockets, you'll say, just because I measure Earth flat, doesn't mean it's flat. That's the kind of crap that you'll get from the fart-sniffing dweebs with Batman t-shirts on it. The guys who have learned all about heliocentrism to almost the same level as the fart-sniffing dweebs, they don't want to acknowledge how flat Earth is because they don't get to then express how smart they are compared to the dweebs with Batman t-shirt logo t-shirts. Because suddenly they've learned about heliocentric garbage, which automatically whistles past the flat Earth prerequisite measurements. So these bearded hippies and conspirators, they don't want to relinquish how smart they are when it comes to heliocentric notions like orbit, gravity, Earth curve. They want to seem smart and tell next man, potentially, in this camp, I know more about how the globe works than you do. I'm a flat earther.
Well, I got a guy saying that you do realize that 24-hour sun in Antarctica is automatically explained by a curved surface. Equally, the directions in which stars, sun, or anybody appears to turn when looking west, but a flat Earth cannot explain that easily, Nathan.
Right, go through
What's
that all
wrong with
again.
you?
Stop. Let's go through it again, and we'll break it down one at a time. Go ahead. Start again.
You do realize a 24-hour sun in Antarctica is automatic.
Stop. Let's just start there. 24 hours. What's this time conception that you've come up with? A 24-hour period? Oh, right. You mean this derived convention of time? Yeah, we derive the convention of time by measuring Earth flat for elevation angles to the sun that we can then average and put into this conception called time. It's not going to be bent. It's not going to create any parallel universes for Batman t-shirt fart-sniffing wankers to believe that they'll travel through and suddenly become a better version of themselves or find an alternative Wolverine in. No. Time is a convention we have derived by measuring Earth flat. We measure the sun with its angle and its movement throughout the seasons. That's what we measure. The analemma, that's just a flat Earth measurement. That's how we derive the convention of time. So before we've done anything, the sun's movement over a 24-hour period. Well, the 24-hour derivation has nothing to do with that particular instance if we take it as read that is what they saw. You can't derive a period of day when the sun's up the entire time. So we must derive this convention first. The hours in this instance. 24 hours? How do you know what that is if the sun's up the whole time? Well, you don't. You derive it from a convention that requires you measure Earth flat for time. So we're at one sentence, half a sentence. We've already got a flat Earth prerequisite derivation of flat Earth angles to the sun to derive this convention of time in a 24-hour period. Okay, carry on.
Okay. And it was automatically explained by a curved surface, which you dealt with that. Equally, the directions...
Hold on. No. You just muttered your way through it. 24 hours is the last bit I heard. So just read the next bit of the message.
Okay. Equally, the directions in which stars...
Stop. Directions. The directions, you mean as in horizontal azimuth with a degree attached to north, south, east, and west. Directions are flat Earth prerequisites in the horizontal. That's what north, south, east, and west are when describing azimuth. It's a flat planar degree attribution, another convention we invented that must and can only function on a flat plane, unless your name's Wayne from the Map Breeding Company. Then, because you're a delusional fart-sniffing muppet, you'll suggest, alongside a copyright strike that you dish out to someone like me, that north is the top of something. Yeah? Gas, go south, go boom boom, right? No. North is that way. It's horizontal. It's described with azimuth. It's 0 degrees in a horizontal orientation when describing 360 horizontally for directionality. So when you're describing the direction of the sun, moon, or stars, you absolutely unequivocally require this to be a flat Earth prerequisite. It is. It's horizontal directionality, a convention that is only applicable to a flat planar surface. Next.
That was it, because he goes into the direction of the stars, but he answered you saying the angle that would say we should see the sun everywhere.
Stop. The angle that we should see the sun, so the measurement of a flat Earth for baseline and line up to the sun in a measurement known as an elevation angle, elevation being the surface level, flat, utilized as one of the lines in what is described accurately as a angle when two straight lines meet at a vertex point. So your flat Earth measurement of the sun in an angle. Carry on.
I can't because Christian Zeke has timed him out.
Oh, Jesus, Christian. What are you doing? Going through his messages. Ugh.
So we
Well
can't
done.
get anything new. But he was saying, yeah, it's all flat Earth prerequisites that he's ignoring. You covered it well.
Why did you delete his messages when we're going through them, Christian? I mean, bloody hell, pay attention, man. We're literally reading them out as we're doing this, and now you've deleted them. Okay, I heard Earth curve in there as well. We'll just cover that. So he says it was explained by Earth having curvature. What, you mean the derivation of either a distance to geometric horizon at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's measured height of a flat Earth, or by a general approximation 8 inches per the flat Earth measurement of mile squared? Yeah, you're going to need a flat Earth to suggest that this calculated into existence by way of flat Earth measurement curvature explains a 24-hour, that's a flat Earth prerequisite convention of time, sun in a directionality for Antarctica. You've got 6 rays from Sunday. You've got every single flat Earth measurement that you could possibly ever utilize, require, or employ to derive your curve that you say explains a 24-hour sun. How does a flat Earth derivation of a curve somehow explain the sun being somewhere? It doesn't. But the measurements of the sun are flat Earth prerequisite elevation angles that you described in terms of the measurement. You know what I would suggest you reply to me with, if you hadn't been timed out by Christian? Ask me where the fucking guns are. That's what I would suggest would be a good rebuttal.
Yeah, basically, you're 100% correct. So I viewed a couple other things he was saying. He's saying it's like begging the question then that Earth is flat. I don't know how that's begging the question that Earth is flat.
Okay, well, because he's trying to let me answer you. So if you can take what John put earlier, so this is where John's being proven correct. If you can take a measurement of an elevation angle used in this man's argument for a directionality that's a flat Earth horizontal azimuth. For those two things to exist, we will and can only measure Earth flat. But if you can take what he's using in his argument of the angle to the sun and say it's an if statement, what are you doing? You're the one presenting this angle. You're saying your angle's not an angle? Your elevation angle is an angle. Then you've got nothing. Now, the reality here is who gives the tiniest of shits what this pathetic little twat in a YouTube comment section says about what he believes proves curve that's derived from flat Earth measurements of distance and altitude is applicable to a sun in an orientation that's a flat Earth measurement from his claim of angle measurement that's also flat Earth in prerequisite. Why do we care? This man has no bearing on what a flat Earth measurement of elevation angle is, how flat a mile is, how horizontal orientation and direction is. None of these things have any significance to a chat skank. He's not governing what a mile is. He's not going to build any new directionality systems. He's not going to tell us how to measure altitude, how his Earth curve that he thinks is the cause of all this is derived from flat Earth measurements, again, beyond his control. It's already been derived. We already know how Earth curve is derived from flat Earth prerequisites of altitude and distance measurement. We already know. This man has no bearing on it. But us having to explain it is only useful for next man in the audience to understand exactly how flat Earth must be used. And in this instance, about 6 different ways before the attribution of flat Earth-derived measurements of curvature are actually the cause, invalidating every single prerequisite, including the very degree of the sun that he used in his own claim. These people are utterly stupid. It's a good job they are insignificant and the Earth is always measured flat anyway. Even by this numpty dipshit. He's measuring elevation angles to the sun. It's the same as all the other numpty dipshits that went to Antarctica. They all measured Earth flat. There were no exceptions. They all derived elevation angles from surface level. They all measured altitude angles. They all used the conventions of the equatorial plane for their equatorial mounts. That's a flat planar surface that they leveled the tool to. They all derived these conventions like time. They all flew in a flat Earth direction. They all flew at a flat Earth flight level to get there and say Earth's not flat. No, these people are nutcases, and their only response when they phone me up from Antarctica and go, "We've had 24 hours to sun, Nathan." "Oh, is that right, Toon? You measured Earth flat, though." "Don't deflect your measurements! Where are the guns?"
Well, that's what his final statement was. Until you can explain this 24-hour sun, it is a witness against flat Earth. You mean proof of flat Earth? You got confused there, buddy.
Yeah, you're confusing measuring Earth flat for elevation angles with something that's not measuring Earth flat and destroying it. No, you've got your arse about face, as we say here in England. No, you got it the wrong way around, right? When you measure Earth flat and tell us about the degrees to the sun in a direction that's an azimuthal description, then you've only got flat Earth prerequisites to make your claim with. Now you can, like I give two shits, abandon elevation angles. Therefore, when you start telling us about the degrees that you've got, you don't have any anymore because you don't like how flat you'll measure. Elevation, that's surface for part of the angle. Angle, that's the line up to the sun that you described in a degree. Yeah, that's a flat Earth measurement. What about, oh, well, we were pointing which direction? Sorry, which direction? You abandon all horizontality to the azimuth degree, north, south, east, and west, the prerequisite horizontal orientations. You don't want them. Okay, nobody's asking you to use them. You, like the people in Antarctica, are utterly inconsequential. You're unimportant. When it comes to the shove of, well, you're all measuring Earth flat down there, it gives a shit whether or not you saw the sun for a full day. You measured it flat, though, eh? What's that I hear echoing through the snow? Where's the guns, Nathan?
No, he says Nathan thinks we can't track the time the sun is up, nor see when it completes
Did I
an
cover
apparent
this?
circle.
Sorry, did I not just cover this? Time. Where are you getting your convention of time, you dumbass? Yeah, when you use words like time, you have a flat Earth prerequisite that you are employing by convention. Yeah? Now, I understand that in the fat-sniffing 12-year-old overgrown Batman T-shirt wearing boy's world of bent geodesics and Spider-Man finding other versions of himself when time loops around itself to create new... Yeah, you're all idiots. You're overgrown 12-year-olds. Time is not for bending. It's not going to create geodesics, yeah? You're not going to loop back through it, and you're not going to create extra dimensions, yeah? You're not Doctor Strange, you're not Batman, you're not going to find other Spider-Mans. You've just derived flat Earth measurements into this convention called time. Simple. Now, you don't have to accept that, but it's a fact. It is inconsequential whether or not you tell my audience what I think. No, this isn't on me. I didn't come up with time. Now, I can describe who absolutely raped it. That's Einstein, when he describes this convention of flat Earth measurements of a light in the sky averaged into a bent geodesic and an extra-dimensional geometry called pseudo-Riemannian. Now, that's complete bollocks, designed for fat-sniffing 12-year-olds to believe there's extra versions of Spider-Man.
He says, yeah, the elevation angle would say it should be seen everywhere.
Right, the elevation angle? You mean the horizontal baseline to give you one part of the two lines that form an angle and the line up to the star or sun? Yeah, that's a flat Earth measurement, you dumbass. If I take this flat Earth measurement, Earth isn't flat. You're stupid. Bugger off and go and watch idiots like Simon Dan. Just concentrate yourselves in one area so we can identify you easily. The dumbest people on their so-called planet. You're over there, the planet believers. These dumbasses that say things like, just because I've measured this flat does not mean it's flat. Yeah, you can be over there so we can easily identify you. Yeah? Okay? Here, we understand how flat your convention you are employing of time must be measured. We understand how elevation angles are a flat Earth prerequisite suddenly you want to use to say how flat Earth isn't. Yeah, this is demented. Yeah, you were just surrounded by the stupidest people. Good.
Well, I was going to say, like, but they want to use the same measurements that they're claiming to debunk in their claims. It is so convoluted to say that this is a curved line, therefore not an angle. So let me talk about the angle.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Utterly demented. I'm going to talk about elevation angles only capable of being measured from a flat plane. What, you mean like elevation being the surface level that you're measuring this angle from? It must be a straight line to be an angle, and a line up to the sun with a vertex, with a little degree symbol, with a number. And you're going to tell me that that flat earth only measurement proves it's not flat? Okay. Go away. Congregate in a single area so we can identify you easily, okay? You're just stupid.
Yeah, we're gonna use this angle to tell you that the sun should be seen everywhere.
Yeah, why would the angle tell you anything? It's a measurement. It doesn't speak.
Exactly, John. Yeah.
Indeed. With that, though, I'm going to say there probably won't be an after show to follow, unfortunately, because I'm, as I say, having some computer issues. So I'm going to round out this live stream and uncut an after show now. So a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.